Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Silent Hill. Mysteriousness as we see Cheryl's image projected on screen. And with a very brief flash of somebody else. And do notice Cheryl's image right there. Something else is inside her. Poor choice of words, admittedly, but it seems that the demon is awakening, spreading those wings. And a bunch of mysterious symbols. I'm not quite educated enough to know what these symbols actually are, but it will be quite curious. But yeah, if you continue looking at the screens, you'll see those symbols flash. You'll also see Alessa's image also appear on screen as well. Could she be the one behind all this evil? Well, I guess we'll pretty much just have to find out. Unlike Silent Hill 3, though, the shopping center area in the other world isn't exactly spacious. The only reason we really need to be here is just to sort of forge a pathway so we can pretty much, make our way back to Alchemilla Hospital, talk to Lisa, and, yeah, just sort of make tracks, really. Rifle shells. But we don't have a rifle. Not yet, anyway. Oh, there's no jewelry in this little jewelry shop. Not even a walnut. Well, no lovely expensive jewelry and accessories for Harry. But it's also here where we come across against our next boss fight, really. Bit of an unusual one, but it does also start to tie in with a few elements that become slightly more relevant later on in the game, as we... The radio. And of course we see some fuzzy little caterpillars, or, larvae, just sort of feasting on a corpse. That's lovely. Anyway, this is the Twin Feeler. Basically a giant lava that's, well, pretty much just gonna go to town on Harry, but in the meantime, a rather easy to miss weapon right there, the hunting rifle. You are sort of put immediately in its path, but yeah, don't start walking around and focusing on the boss. Pick up the hunting rifle, for it is pretty much your major boss buster of the now, so yeah, make sure to take it. It is worth noting that you should conserve ammo on the thing because, it is rather powerful, but ammo for it is scarce, so that's part of the reason why I recommend you use it as your boss buster. In the meantime, though, again, because of the fact that the hunting rifle is a powerful weapon, it also requires Harry to stand still, so yeah, if you're using the targeting reticle by holding down the R2 button, then yeah, you're not going to be able to run around and, therefore dodge the shots of the Twin Feeler. In this boss in particular, and I suppose most bosses in the game really, since, mechanically speaking, Silent Hill is also very, very much of its survival horror ilk, but unlike Resident Evil, really, well, not until the later games anyway, yeah, there is actually an oft-used strafing mechanic by using the L1 and R1 button while holding square, so yeah, you can technically have Harry run around and sort of circle around the boss while he shoots it down, so yeah, you can pretty much dodge attacks while, keeping yourself well into the fight. And it's a pretty worthy strategy that does work quite well with a lot of bosses in the game. Particularly, some of the more land-based creatures, like, like the Twin Feeler, the Split Head, all that kind of malarkey, but yeah, it's worth keeping that in mind. Truth be told, though, I mean, if you did want to make this boss fight a bit more expedient, I would recommend using the hunting rifle just, right here and now, but yeah, guess it all really depends on your poison. Speaking of poison, by the way, like, the Twin Feeler's, like, little clouds of poison doesn't technically poison Harry. Again, unlike Resident Evil, there is no poison status in this game, and likewise, you don't have any tertiary, oh no, I gotta use some antiseptic, antibiotics, thingomotron just to get rid of the poison or whatever. So, yeah, it's pretty much just either it's a poison cloud attack, or it'll just nip at you in the bud. Yeah, but I mean, all that aside though, not really too much of an interesting boss fight. I mean, not that it really has anything interesting to begin with, it's just sort of... Oh, we bullied it so much, and now it's crawled up and scared. How pathetic. Like a little child. Well, I mean, I suppose it technically is a child. Has yet to mature. But anyway, it retreats for now, to the safety of the darkness. And yeah, it pretty much has no other attacks apart from what I just mentioned beforehand, so yeah, it's not too difficult of a boss fight. It's really more there to lead you towards other places where you need to go. And I suppose, now that we're once again, well, back in the Otherworld town itself, yeah, that was the Night Flutter. Yeah, it seems to noticeably resemble that demon we saw, back in the other church. It was the Mark of Sam-I-Am. And yes, Otherworld wind generators. Yeah, when it comes to some of the design focus here, there isn't really too much to explore in terms of the Otherworld when it comes to the town itself. I wouldn't say it's quite as linear as Silent Hill 3 in that regard, but again, it is, you know, pretty straight-laced in terms of where you need to go, which is what I was talking about the design ethos back in the Alchemilla Hospital, which is fitting because that's where we're going. Yes, it's quite linear, but by that same token, though, you know, there is still a lot of wide open space to explore, and a lot of, you know, nooks and crannies for you to pick up health drinks, and sort of examine a few items here and there so that you can, you know, get yourself more powerful for other boss encounters. Enemies are beefed up, though, so you're not exactly incentivized to, you know, give the place a bit of a runaround and just sort of go doolally at whatever, but there is one other facet that we will show, and that's also the police station, which does technically have an Otherworld setting. It's just that you can't explore the little office inside, which would be accessible in the normal world, you know, telling you about, you know, people dying in relation to the town. Pretty much all the things that Lisa already mentioned at this stage. It's curious, but they did technically design like an Otherworld room for this, so it does make me wonder if maybe this might have been a room visited by another character. Like, I don't know, maybe if Sybil might have visited this place at one point in time, but I don't know, I guess we'll never know. But anyway, back to the salient point that I was talking about beforehand, is that, yeah, like, I mean, Silent Hill 1 does ape a lot of its dungeon design, as demonstrated with the rompers going at Harry Mason. Ah! But, yeah, other times it can be quite linear, and, I don't know, it knows when to let you explore, but also when to, you know, sort of put you on a leash and take you to where you need to go. I mean, the giant chasms and pits already do a well enough job, you know, kind of directing you to where you need to go to begin with, but, I don't know. It hits that nice balance between, you know, linearity and, well, I suppose, you know, letting the player explore around and just sort of solve puzzles, really. A very sort of difficult balance, and not many Silent Hill games I feel ever really tend to get this right. The only ones I can really point that actually did this pretty well was, well, I mean, Silent Hill 1, obviously, Silent Hill 2, Downpour, Shattered Memories, and, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, because, I mean, 3 was a bit too linear for my taste, 4 was linear intentionally by design, so, yeah. Anyway, we got a cutscene, go now, dramatics.
Harry!
Glad you're okay.
Thank God you came back. I was scared to be here all alone.
I'm here now. I was worried too. I'm real happy to see you. Lisa, can you tell me how to get to the lake?
The lake? You take Bachman Road.
The road's blocked.
Well, that's the only way out there.
Are you sure? There's gotta be another way.
Wait! I just remembered something! There's a waterworks over by my old elementary school. It's been abandoned for years. There's an underground tunnel out there used for inspections or something. I remember hearing it runs all the way to the lake.
Really? You think I can get to the lake from there?
I've never been down in there myself, so I'm not positive. Besides, it's all fenced off to keep people out.
If there's a chance, I've got to try.
Harry, don't go! I don't want to be alone. It's so scary, I can't stand it.
How about coming with me? This may not be the safest place in the world either. I can't promise you anything, but I'll do my best to protect you.
No, somehow I feel I'm not supposed to leave this place. Oh, Harry, I'm so scared, and I'm cold.
Look, just wait here a little longer. I'll be back as soon as I find my daughter.
Harry?
Poor woman. Now, it might seem like a very arbitrary thing that she's deciding to stay behind, but I don't know, I suppose she is rather curious as to what's being kept down in the basement, which, I mean, to be completely honest, and I think I might have brought this up about 10 years ago as well, it does kind of make me wonder if, like, a Lisa-based scenario where you get to play as her and explore around the hospital would have been quite interesting. I mean, I guess she doesn't really seem like the type to kind of defend herself, given that she's locked herself in the examination room, but I don't know. To be honest, it seems like it would have been a cool thing for her to explore and just sort of see what she's seeing and, you know, I guess maybe seeing her override her fears to find out what's truly going on and, you know, why she seems to be a bit green around the gills. You know, seems to kind of be faltering a little bit when it comes to leaving the hospital or, yeah, going through with withdrawal symptoms, for the lack of a better phrase. The roof. Oh dear. How our little float stinger has grown. Well, twin feeler. The float stinger is what this enemy is called, and yeah, it's pretty much our next boss of the now. Unlike the twin feeler though, I mean, it pretty much does try and stab you with its little, you know, stinger, and it will of course also attempt to sort of, you know, breathe poison clouds on you. In terms of its overall attacks and design though, well, again, that's pretty much it for the boss fight. It can dish out some pretty significant pain, but you might want to notice something related to its design. Again, it's obviously very insectoid in terms of its looks, but if you look at its, you know, some of its design aspects, you know, the wings and, well, particularly when you get a good look at its face, yeah, you might notice it's, well, very Samael resemblant. And it's also carrying on the theme of, emergent, you know, life forms. You know, growing from a cocoon, and from an inferior creature to something quite dangerous. Ah, well, I'm sure this won't bite Harry in the arse as he's running around and, trying to avoid its purple blood. Yeah, but yeah, strafing can come quite in handy here, although, really, because of the fact that the float stinger can fly, yeah, it's really just the sort of boss that you can pretty much only try and give, a run around the bend, but given the fact that this thing is pretty much airborne, yeah, not too much you can really sort of do with it, to be honest, so, I mean, it is gonna catch up with you, so really, it's just sort of in your best interest to, I mean, I wouldn't recommend War of Attrition. I'd say it's pretty much just, you know, getting pip damage where you can, running about the arena and just sort of, you know, taking it out that way if you want to go safely. Otherwise, I mean, if you've got the health drinks or medical kits or ampoules to last you, then I suggest, well, pretty much, getting the hunting rifle if you have the ammunition and just sort of going, you know, yeehaw American! With all the freedom and shooting the bullets and telling this float stinger that it's turking her gerbs. You know, I don't know, turn it into a hot dog, cause all this Silent Hill and Japanese culture is too cultural for me. I need a hot dog stat! But yeah, just one last thing to really mention, you can also change the color of the blood in the options menu. So yeah, purple blood. Just what I always wanted. The world has returned to normal. But appreciate it while you can, because I feel that it won't be normal again for some time. But yeah, if there are any supplies that you want to collect in both new and old Silent Hill, I recommend you do it now because, well, let's just say that since we're taking the sewer entrance, we're not going to have much of another chance to really explore around the place. But don't worry, we will get a new area to explore. It's just that we need to cut through the sewers in order to get there. Sewers. Why did it have to be sewers? Teleporting. And yeah, we're pretty much next to the waterworks that we saw all the way back in the earlier parts of the commentary. so we can access the sewers, but it was blocked off by, well, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it's pretty much blocked off by, you know, a chain, and, yeah, as you can no doubt tell, everything's pretty much buggered off, roads are obliterated. Yeah, seems damage to the town is, quite surreal. Anyway, this calls for our trusty axe. Or, I suppose if you want to get this done expediently, you can pretty much use the Hammer of Justice to get it down in one fell swoop. I mean, yeah, this game is also, you know, intentionally designed so that, you know, weapons do have different damage outputs. You know, as is typical in your video game design, but... yeah, some hits take a bit more than others. Nothing else to really talk about for the time being, so time for a bit of trivia, where one of the earlier names for Lisa Garland was actually a character called Amanda. In the sense that one of her portraits, you know, similar to, you know, how Alyssa was Pamela, Cheryl was Biriko, yeah, apparently her, Lisa's early name was Amanda. Or Manda, whatever. Placeholder, I guess, but I don't know, it could have been a reference to something. The sewers. The risk of saying something I might have said in the original commentary, like, are American sewers really this spacious? I mean, I don't know, you see it like a lot in movies, cartoons, and video games that, you know, sewers are like stuff, like, wide open spaces that you can pretty much crawl around, well, crawl around, I mean, walk around in, I guess for the sake of doing maintenance, but, I don't know, like, I mean, I've looked down drain pipes in Australia, and they don't really seem to be that spacious. It's pretty much just, you know, a little floodgate with, you know, water down everywhere, and, you know, they're not that spacious, and, you know, they're also there for very efficient means. If you're going to be taking care of any sewage work, you're pretty much doing it at a water treatment plant. But anyway, though, those two creatures that attacked Harry are called the Hanged Scratchers. Very alien-esque in design, and, you know, very mantis-like and very predatorial. And a bit of a weird thing, I don't know whether or not this is just fandom, you know, just sort of interpreting it in a very broad strokes kind of way for the sake of, you know, tertiary symbolism, or if it's meant to be the actual case, but apparently, whenever the Hanged Scratchers attack you, apparently they're having like a goggled screen that says, "Let go of me." Which, I mean, in terms of how they sort of, well, for the lack of a better phrase, syllableize it, I can kind of see it, but I think that might be a bit of a reach, because no other creatures really have a tendency to speak like that. But yeah, to kind of talk about the Hanged Scratchers in more, well, enemy dynamic terms, yeah, I mean, you know, they'll obviously sort of, you know, gradually creep up towards you and sort of attack you, you know, with their praying mantis limbs, but they do also have an attack where, well, you know, fittingly with their name, they'll pretty much hang from the ceiling and try and take a swipe at Harry. So yeah, you do need to be quite careful, and something I didn't actually learn until a recent playthrough is that you can actually preempt where the Hanged Scratchers are going to be if they're, you know, hanging right off the ceiling. It's all a matter of using a bit of an odd mechanic that you don't really tend to use very much, but again, if you're just in, you know, what would you call it, passive mode if you don't have a weapon equipped? Yeah, just press and hold the L2 button, and you can actually have the camera sort of, you know, sort of lean off Harry a little bit. It's usually something that you can use in regular gameplay to sort of either center the camera or swivel it around to Harry's back, but yeah, using this during, you know, regular gameplay, you can actually use it to get a bit more of a vision of the environment, and yeah, if your flashlight is culpable enough, you can technically see a bit more of the environment and preempt the Hanged Scratchers. So yeah, enemy dynamics. How fascinating. To kind of talk about the sewers in a little bit more depth, though, it's really just more of a way of getting from point A to point B, really. But it does have its points of interest, though. The first of which being the sound design, which, you know, I mean, I'll say this much, it does a decent enough job at putting you on edge. The Hanged Scratcher, as you could actually see right then and there, yeah. I mean, again, if you're not actively looking for them, or, you know, recognizing the advice that I told you just now, you wouldn't really be expecting them to be hanging on the ceiling, so again, it doesn't really preempt a jump scare, it just sort of, well, happens really, and that's, you know, those are the sort of jump scares that catch you off guard more than the ones with actual, setup, you know, akin to the whole, like, Black Cat jump scare earlier in the Midwich Elementary School, and the whole, you know, the dead body falling out of the locker, you know, in the other Midwich Elementary School. Great stuff like that the Silent Hill 1 was really adept at in terms of horror. Oh my god. Yeah, let go of me. I was kind of waiting to see if there was an example of it, but whatever. It might have just been a very bullshit claim that they were saying "let go of me," because they were clearly symbolizing somebody's fear of being preyed upon, which I believe was meant to be the symbolism behind the rompers, which were those giant, very human-like creatures that pin Harry down and try and bite his flesh open. Yeah, I don't know. I think somebody might have been telling some porkies when, it comes to saying, oh, they're saying let go of me. It just sounds like a gargled scream, really. But yeah, anyway, I guess gonna get back on topic to more important matters. Yeah. You might remember, like, all the way back in Midwich Elementary School that I mentioned that, the radio is your best friend. It helps you detect monsters with its static, and, you won't have to go through the entire game without your trusty radio telling you where things are. Well, not in the sewers, because I guess due to magnetic interference or radio waves not penetrating, well, the outside influences, yeah. You have no radio in the sewers, and your only way of telling where the hang scratches are is pretty much either if they're making that little clicking sound as they slowly approach Harry, or if you preempt where they are on the ceiling. Since they are very predatory creatures, waiting in the darkness with bated breath. So yeah, it does make this segment a little bit more, trepidating to traverse, but, if you got your wits about you, which, you should at this stage, then you should be able to cross through the sewers no problem and deal with the hang scratches as the threat emerges. Upsy daisies, but no, we're not out of the sewers just yet. Oh, we have to deal with the filth and stench. And unfortunately, there's no sewer fairy to help us out this time. Oh no. And this also won't be the last we see of the sewers anyway, because we also need them to get to a certain other area, which is where that mysterious child will leave the mark of Sam-I-Am. Oh, dearie me. But, yeah, there are, like, a few, false tunnels and, areas you can explore which don't really have anything, and yeah, the, hang scratches can actually crawl across the ceiling, so, don't remain passive for long. But, if you take the wrong way, you are rewarded at least with ammunition and health drinks. At least in the sense that, you're rewarded with, stuff you can use to kind of prolong your survival, but how long you prolong it for is up to your skills. But anyway, though, not really too much to say. You do have a few crawlers bopping about the place, but that's pretty much all she wrote. Yeah, this pretty much doesn't lead us anywhere. I'm also having thoughts leading back to the whole Venom chase scene from the Neversoft Spider-Man game for some reason. I think that might just be because I got done watching the Media Nerds 2002 Spider-Man commentary, though, which is actually quite fun. I recommend you check it out. Give him views, and the money, and the weed, cocaine, every day, blurg. Oh dear. I suppose, again, for as linear as it is really just a way of going from point A to B. There isn't really too much in terms of, overall context, which, I suppose does make it feel like one of the more video gamey segments of Silent Hill 1. Not helping matters is that it's a sewer level, which, in keeping with our Mario-esque tradition is about as tried as you can possibly get, but I don't know. It has enough of its own gimmicks to really sort of sustain itself. Again, it's got a creepy atmosphere about it, and, while very terrestrial in looks, it does an okay job for what it's worth, so not really too much to complain about. Though I suppose, in terms of nothing else, it does kind of make me look a bit more favourably on the Shattered Memories sewer section for at least being brief and having, a few more items to find in terms of collectibles, like that vomiting fish or, I don't know, that Cheryl phone call. And also that pretty chillax theme when you finally reach the resort part of town, as we're reaching here. As the atmosphere picks up. With one of the creepier themes in the game, actually, which, ooh, they do actually get a nice reprise out of as we get later on, but, yeah, this, hypes up the tension, so, yeah, I'm going to cuddle a teddy bear and cuddle up in bed, so, on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and, I'll see you next time for more Silent Hill goodness. Catch you later, and, I'm frightened.